Hi, welcome to Spanish 101. Today we're going to be talking about the use of ser. The learning goals is that by the end of the video you'll be able to identify the main characteristics of the verb ser, and I will be also introducing an acronym, Dr. Place, that will help you remember these characteristics more easily. So this is the acronym that we're going to be using for the verb ser, doctor. And as you can see, each one of them have a specific characteristic that will be going, we will be talking about more. Let's talk about the first one. So D stands for description, and we're going to use the verb ser whenever talking about or describing a person or a thing or a situation. As you can see, Omar es moreno, and mis padres son buenos. Here we're describing the qualities, the physical appearance of someone, but we're also describing their character as well. The second letter O stands for occupation. When talking about someone's occupation, we're always going to use the verb ser, especially if there is a noun that follows the verb. In this case, yo soy un estudiante, or mi madre es una secretaria. So we have nouns, therefore we're going to use the verb ser. The third letter is C, essential characteristics, and this kind of goes along with description, but this will be one of the main characteristics of ser. Whenever talking about physical essential characteristics or just personality traits, we're always going to use the verb ser. For example, mi hermano es responsable, or yo soy interesante. So remember that adjectives can have a different meaning based on if we're using es or estar. So if we're talking about essential characteristics, things that don't change, we're always going to use ser. The next letter is T, that stands for time, and time can either be hour, day, or a month. In this case, we express the time of the day by saying es la una de la mañana if it's 1 a.m. or es la una de la tarde, it's 1 in the afternoon. Notice that we're always going to use the singular third person es when talking about 1 a.m. or 1 p.m., but we're always going to use son when talking about any other time of the day. If it's 3 o'clock, we would say son las 3 de la tarde. If it's 11 a.m., son las 11 de la mañana. So notice that change there. And also to talk about days and months. Hoy es lunes, el mes es marzo, etc. So as you can see, time, when talking about time, it's always going to be there. The next one is origin. When talking about where someone is from, we're always going to use the verb ser. For example, yo soy de México, or mi compañero de cuarto es de Rusia. So I'm from Mexico and my roommate is from Russia. Origin is always going to need ser. The last one, R stands for relationship or possessions. Whenever talking about close relationships, like family relationships, we're always going to use ser, as well as talking about possession, when something belongs to someone else. For example, él es mi hermano, he is my brother, or el auto es mío, that car is mine, or the car is mine. Okay? These are other uses that don't fit into the acronym, but it's good to know. For example, when talking about the material that something is made of, we're always going to use es. For example, ¿de qué material es la mesa? What material is the table made of? La mesa es de madera, so the table is made out of wood. Another use is to tell where an event is taking place, and this is a very strict exception. So, for example, ¿dónde es la clase de español? Where is the Spanish class? La clase es en el edificio Smith. So, as you can see, we're kind of talking about location, but we're describing an event. So this is the only exception that instead of using estar, which we use to talk about locations, we're going to use ser. So whenever talking about an event or something that is happening, remember to use ser. For example, if you're going to a concert, you could say el concierto es en el auditorio. So the concert is at the auditorium. So yeah, so just remember that. When an event is taking place, don't use estar, but use ser. And the last one, it's used in some impersonal expressions. Expressions such as, es importante practicar español, it's important to study Spanish, or es esencial memorizar los verbos, it's essential to memorize verbs. So those impersonal expressions, like it's important, it's necessary, it's required, it's always going to need the verb ser. So it's important to keep those in mind. So here I have a quick exercise, and what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and fill in the blanks with the correct form of the verb ser. What I want you to do is I want you to pause the video and fill in the blanks. Just notice and remember that you have to be careful with the subject and you have to identify who's doing the action. So I want you to pause the video now and work on it and press play to see the answers. Okay, so let's look at the answers. Yo soy Omar y soy de México. So here we're talking about the same subject. Yo y mi hermano somos estudiantes de medicina en los Estados Unidos. So here it's yo y mi hermano, so it's talking about we, somos. La universidad es difícil. En la universidad los estudiantes son muy inteligentes y son muy divertidos. There is no change of subject, so we leave it son. Yo y mi hermano tenemos muchos amigos. Will es de Canadá y Sansa y Peter son de Rusia. In the first one, third person, the second one is third person plural. Nuestra clase de biología es en el edificio azul. So we're talking about an event, so we use es. Y tú, eres estudiante, so it's asking a question, informal question, so that's why we picked eres. So I hope that you were able to practice with ser and you were able to remember those main characteristics. The acronym doctor is going to help you, so if you need to review it, you can watch the video again. And hopefully this is going to be useful for you in knowing when to, the main characteristics of ser.